Hello, I'm the Atomic Hobbit, and I like movies. Divergent is boring. I cannot think of a movie that really has left so little of an impact on me. And the little impact it makes is simply because of moments of just complete lack of logic, or just, the idle wanderings of someone who's so bored through a movie they're just start nitpicking because they're trying to find something to do. I cannot recommend this turkey. That, seriously, I could not understand this movie to save my life. I had to read and reread the Wikipedia page on this movie and the book just to figure out what the heck was going on. Now, I understand this is based off of a book. And I know there will be people who will be like, no, you need to read the book, and everything makes sense if you read the book. I'm sorry, but an adaptation needs to be able to stand independently on its own two feet. It does not need the book to be a crutch. It needs to be that someone who has no idea about the book or the source material needs to be able to watch it and still be able to know what the heck is going on. Sorry. Although, kudos for actually reading. Something that is becoming increasingly rare in this day and age. But, sorry, shut your trap. I'm talking about the movie, not the book. I'm pretty sure it's good, otherwise they wouldn't have made it into a movie, but actually I'll kind of get into that later. Now, after much research, I figured out the plot of this movie, I think. So, it takes place in this future Chicago where everyone's organized into factions, and each faction, does some job in the society. And people are organized by predisposition. And that's the first problem with this movie. The dystopia makes no sense. People are organized by predisposition. Wow, this makes no sense. I understand dystopias have to have an element of illogic to them, otherwise, they're not a dystopia, they're a utopia. Or they have to be terrible in some way, but there's a horrible dystopia, like a 1984 A Brave New World case, where it's horrendous what the powers that be do to humanity. And then there is just what kind of dystopias, and those dystopias I don't really get, because I'm too busy thinking, who would think this is a good idea? Dystopias have to have in their and I'll get later into dystopias, but organizing by personality makes no sense. And the movie later shows that if you have a certain predisposition, but if you just lack talent, you're destitute. They leave you literally just essentially out to die because you just lack talent. But you're predisposed, to be honest. Oh, wait, you can't do some skill. Get out! Go and die! That's essentially what this dystopia is, and it's just makes no sense. In its insane logic, 1984 makes sense. The whole suppressive regime kind of makes sense in a crazy kind of way. But just leaving people destitute because they just lack talent but are predisposed? Wow. I'm getting distracted. Come on, you can get through this. Atomic Comic, come on. So this movie centers on some girl, which shall be named What's-Her-Name, because I could not remember her name because she's so boring of a character. And essentially, she's given what amounts to a very expensive internet personality test and finds that she's divergent. What does that mean? I'm honestly not even sure after, doing research on the topic, because the movie does such a poor job of explaining it. It's vaguely explained as, you can't be, pigeonholed, and that you're, deviate from the norm, but what's the problem? Like, a lot of people do that. Like, it's not that surprising. I just couldn't really think of, like, so what she deviates from the norm? A lot of people do that, so, oh god. Anyway, like, are we to believe that nonconformity is that rare? Like, this is, like, might go in as sort of the least horrible dystopia ever. Ever, right? It's almost at the same level as, Thneedville from, the Lorax movie. And, like, also God, this movie was so boring. The stakes in this movie, while they are existent, and I guess in the book they kind of are high, the movie, I just couldn't get interested. At least they had stakes, which is, something, but, like, I just couldn't care about like what they were establishing. Like, oh no, the characters that only got about 20 minutes of screen time are dead. So what? Like, also another thing, I do not like how the smart people in this movie are the bad guys. This is pure, like, fiction about smart people. This movie might be discriminatory towards smart people. All right, I'm joking on that part. Don't actually take it that way, but seriously, I never like it in a movie when the bad guys are the smart people. Why does it have to be the smart people that are the bad guys? Come on, give the smart people, the benefit of the doubt. Like, come on. Smart people gave you this internet that you are watching me. Or at least I hope you're watching me. I could not care for the characters at all. Now, like, the main group of, like, characters, like the faction that What's-Her-Name joins, the Brave faction, were just filled with tools. Like they just... Yet you're supposed to think they're cool. Well, I have a message to the world. This is something I really feel like I need to say. Jumping off trains is not cool. It is something that is dangerous, and it is stupid. Just wait for the train to come to a complete stop at the station. Don't jump off of it. Yet we're supposed to think in this future dystopia Chicago that jumping off trains is cool. Jumping off trains in whatever, like, dystopia city or whatever, jumping off trains in general is not cool. It's just dangerous. Also, like, I just couldn't get behind the fact that the people that are supposed to defend future Chicago, their predisposition is for bravery, which I kind of get, but not like, militaries don't need specifically bravery, they just need obedience. And then, like, bravery follows that. That, like, because these are just so undisciplined and whatnot. Like, also, another thing, they look like they raided a Hot Topic for their wardrobe. Like, God. Also, the romance, it honestly made me feel a little uncomfortable because What's-Her-Name is, like, supposedly around 16, yet the guy she's falling in love with is clearly in his late 20s, early 30s. Like, I found something kind of creepy about that romance that just, like, at the very least, keep it in the same age group, please. Also, the villain in this movie is so bland and two-dimensional. Like, Mr. Freeze from Batman and Robin is a better villain. You heard me right. I know there's no taking that back. But I assure you that Arnold Schwarzenegger's portrayal of Mr. Freeze is a far more interesting and more probably complex portrayal of a villain than some blonde woman being like some very boring character. At least like Mr. Freeze has memorable lines. The dialogue of this villain might as well have been replaced with the wah 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 from Charlie Brown. It is that unimportant and uninteresting. It's just like blah 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 blah. Keep the peace. Blah 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 blah. That's actually a note I wrote in this notebook. So, yeah, like, God, this movie, and just so many elements of this movie fall flat to just uninteresting to like kind of atrocious. The music, or at least the not orchestration kind, not the scoring, that's actually good. The soundtrack filled with tween pop songs is just, well, personally, I'm not into tween pop songs. I'd rather listen to like Fingernails on Chalkboard than tween pop songs, although I can't really tell the difference. Like, I just couldn't get through that. Costuming, again, as I alluded to earlier, is just terrible. Like, in between the fact that our main characters look like they rated the Hot Topic or something like that, and all the other outfits are just kind of lame. At least, like, I will say, because I try to find some good in every movie, that largely production design and set design is actually pretty good. Not enough to save the movie, but still good. I feel I must address the elephant in the room that is the Hunger Games. Now, I feel that this movie is clearly a Hunger Games ripoff, in my personal opinion. Now, I know this is based off of a book written before, Hunger Games movie came out. But here's the thing. This movie would not have been made if it were not for the success of Hunger Games. And the thing is that this movie is sort of what Hunger Games could have been. It's sort of if Hunger Games were handled by someone less talented. Like the Hunger Games, they, focus on, have an interesting dystopia where it goes and also another thing is just like dystopias, they need to be relevant to like some current element of society that's terrible, and that if we're to go out of control, well, creates a dystopia. That, like in Hunger Games, it's like economic disparity and a prolific nature of violence and entertainment and the rise of reality TV and so on. I have no idea what Divergent is commenting on. I guess conformity, but really? Is that it? Like, and it's not like 1984 we're showing like how like efficiency in the workplace gone completely mayhem, or like communism gone berserk in 1984. Like, conformity? And really the movie is not that, like, the society is not really that conformist, unless it's like commenting on the conformity of people claiming they're nonconformists by shopping at Hot Topic. And I get, like, the thing is, it's so underdeveloped as opposed to like Hunger Games, where it's very present to anyone, unless like some girl is asking them out or they have to babysit some kids or something. Things where like it's unavoidable that like you have to take a bullet. In that case, take the bullet. But if you're willingly watching this, please don't. And if you did, I pity you. I pity you. And like, and the thing is, I don't want to see. And here's the thing: I don't like to see a movie that like. I wanted this movie to be good. I didn't want this movie to be like a wreck. And like, maybe there's hope for this franchise. Maybe there is. Maybe it'll start to make sense. They definitely made enough money for a sequel, and considering it's based off of a trilogy of books, they're gonna make a trilogy out of it. But again, I just can't recommend it. But if you want to see it, good for you. I'm the Atomic Hobbit, and read a book for once.